Right. Okay. Okay. There we go. Make sure everything's working properly. Right. All right. What a fun, eventful day. Relax. Relax updates. There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm just getting a thumbnail in here for YouTube, and we will be starting. There we go. All right, we are set. We are locked in. All right. There we go. All right. We are set up. Let's get all signed in over here. Oh. All right. So we just had our Q&A posted earlier today. Nice posted on his channel. If you guys want to check it out and you have not done so yet, I will provide a link in the chat. It will be over there. I'm going to go through some of the topics on my channel for the next couple of weeks, just kind of talking about individual things and kind of why I think they're important. I can't. I'm supposed to be editing right now a video, and I'm just so sidetracked with everybody, saying they enjoyed the Q&A and everything. So it's been tough to stay focused this afternoon. Thank you, Holly. Thank you. There we go. So I figured it'd be fun to talk to the community and check out the website, because I haven't looked at the website yet. I haven't seen the new art that they had. I saw a couple pictures posted, but thought it might be fun to kind of break that down too. So hope everybody's doing well today. I hope you're having a nice Wednesday, and yeah, we'll get started here in a minute. Sorry, I was reading a comment. Let's check this out. Let me go to the display capture. Put it up here. Come on, you. There we go. So Ashes of Creation they just posted their new website today. So just enlarge it a little bit. Get rid of the outside parts. Let's dive into it. So we got an overview here. We can look at all the different races, I guess. Wow. Kalar take enormous pride in their heritage and their ability to rise to any challenge. They can be gregarious, friendly, and willing to mix and interact with the other races. Maintain the alien tradition of a feudal society. Okay. Organize around a monarch with subordinates inheriting titles and land. Like their ancestors, they form orders of knights and possess the largest organized standing army of all the races. Interesting. This deep ancestral provide keen sense of duty, but it hampers their ability to negotiate and seek diplomatic solutions. Okay, so they're just there to scrap. I respect it. Oh my goodness. Bring that down just a little bit. Okay, there we go. All right, so that's the Kalar. We could just scroll through. Valoon. Trace their origin to the Sand Squall Desert, where they relied on bravery, curiosity, cunning, and charisma to survive to this day. They hone those skills to ensure no opportunity passes them by. Historically, the Valoon organized around an elected magistrate, which delegates political affairs through prominent market organizations and industries. Trade is a core feature of Valoon politics, and social norms inform negotiation rituals that ensure fair, honest deals whenever possible. In times of legend, the first of these ritual trades comes in the form of an Aelin marriage to one of the Djinn guardians of the Sand Squall, which gave rise to the Valoon. Their glowing eyes and rune-etched skin are the direct result of that ancient union. Interesting. Guess I'll just go like this so you guys see it. And we got the Dunir. Hardy and resilient, value craftsmanship and reliability, thriving in treacherous terrains with unmatched dedication. Loyal to the monarch. Military is renowned for its defensive prowess, reflecting their steadfast nature. I'm really digging the art of all these different racial choices. Known for strong alliances, the Dunir are slow to forget slights, making their grudges legendary. Their stubbornness and loyalty shape their cautious but steadfast political stance. They didn't mention they're short. I feel like that's a miss. Like they should really let you know that the Dunir are very short. We got the Nakua. This is sick. This is so much better than the previous art, in my opinion, for the Nakua. I actually think that's awesome. That's really cool. Many things matter most to the Nakua: family, open sky, and a sail full of wind. Renowned explorers, sailors, fisherfolk, and adventurers who maintain the reliability of their cousins, the Dunir, without the discipline. Nakua act according to the decisions of an elected council of 5 elders, but are generally only loosely associated outside of their home waters. Their adaptability and community-oriented nature guide their social structure. Their accommodating nature is balanced by the council's unanimous decisions, shaping cautious diplomacy. Let's see if I can find the old Nakua picture that used to pop up quite a bit. Yeah, these were character creator, if I remember, 3D models. I'll open image, a new tab. So this is the old one. That first one is the one I was thinking of. I think this is really cool. I like that. We got the Kaivek orcs. We have the Renkai. Renkai thrive on dedicated training, loyalty, and honorable fights, producing notable craftsfolk, scholars, and fierce warriors. Their confederation, forged through centuries of conflict, rivals the Kalar in military might. Through a historical strife hampers their diplomatic efforts. Emerging stronger from internal and external conflicts, the Renkai now stand united, their history with the Vek shaping a unique kinship. We got the Vek. The Vek are so interesting. Seclusion, mystery, prophecy. Veks are often devoted clerics and mages driven by faith and celestial pursuits, excelling in enchantments and alchemy. Theocracy, guided by stargazers, Vek politics rely on prophecy, impacting their diplomatic stance with a sense of divine destiny. Okay. Then we got the Kyrian, grace, diplomacy, knowledge. We got the elves. Intelligent, physically fit, silver-tongued, and beautiful by any standards. The elvish race of the city dwellers are skilled craftsmen, seasoned soldiers, frighteningly powerful mages, shrewd diplomats, and dedicated leaders. Well, what aren't they good at? Is that just everything? Like elves are just good at everything? Pride themselves on their advanced civilization, elite military, and highly efficient form of government. Their lifespan is longer than any race on Ver, giving them ample time for academic pursuits and magical research. While shorter-lived races confine their educational pursuits to childhood, Empyreans seek to further their knowledge every day of their lives and have been known to change professions after hundreds of years. We got the Pyre, individualism, expression, naturalism. They value individualism and self-expression, living in tight-knit kinships. Share resources among kinships, remain fiercely independent, resisting formal governance and maintaining loose family alliances. Violent revolt broke them from their ancestors, shaping their ungovernable nature, which they celebrate yearly to honor their fight for freedom. Okay, and then we have the Tulnar. God, that's sick. That's so sick. Diversity, community, persistence. Tulnar are as varied as the beast aspects they possess. Tano, what's going on? But they are united in one crucial belief: corruption must be fought wherever it creeps. They are refugees that not only survive, but have thrived despite its tormenting presence in the world above. In the caverns below the surface, while the ancients ravaged the world above, the survivors from all walks above came together below, pooled resources, skills, and knowledge of essence to build a tightly knit community on trust and necessity. They carry those traditions with them today, in that all things are shared, be it prosperity or austerity. Mysterious magical wards throughout the massive caverns sealed them all underground till the divine gates were reopened unexpectedly. Cautiously, they returned to the surface to greet the other nations as they arrived through the archways. This is probably my favorite one so far. This is sick. All right, and that is the races. I think I don't know what I'm going to choose yet. I would probably personally go like Veilun or Kalar. I think that those are the choices that I would take. I wouldn't be against the Renkai. Go into the archetypes. Okay. After creation, you'll find yourself with 8 distinct archetypes, each offering a unique path and playstyle for your journey through the dynamic and ever-changing world of Vera. All right. So we've seen 6 so far. We have not seen the rogue or the summoner. We'll click on and go through all these. But we'll start with the bard. Bards are versatile virtuosos that inspire allies and dishearten enemies with an extraordinary repertoire of abilities encompassing the arts of music, song, dance, and storytelling. These efficacious entertainers excel at amplifying strengths and exploiting weaknesses. This makes them a rock-solid but flexible pillar of support for any adventuring party. With their mesmerizing melodies, peerless pantomime skills, and wondrous weaving of soul-stirring tales, bards leave a lasting impression on friend and foe alike. Whoever wrote this was just under bardic inspiration. That is a fun couple of sentences there. So yeah, so they got some footage of some of the skills and abilities. I'm really looking forward to the Bard in Alpha 2. Bard is one of my top 2 choices on what I want to try first. I think when we go through crashes and everything, I'll switch archetypes. I think I'm going to start with the fighter, but Bard will be the second one I choose. And I don't know, man. It might still be my first. I keep going back and forth on it. It's got so much unique support. It's got so much unique speed, buff capabilities. Like, it's pretty sick. It's pretty sick. Let's look at the Cleric. Oh, I haven't seen this Cleric art yet. Clerics channel mana to convert magical essence into radiant energy, which they can wield to heal their allies or smite their foes. Excel providing defensive support by shielding their comrades at arms, cleansing negative status ailments, restoring the mana to themselves and others, or even bringing a fallen soldier back to life. Because of their vital contributions to the welfare of an adventuring party, enemies consider clerics to be high priority targets. Hence, their survival also depends greatly upon their mastery of skill of self-preservation. Okay, so that was a pretty serious channel burst heal. And we got here's the resurrection animation. Okay. Come on. Come on. What I will say is I do appreciate that this burst heal isn't just like a full health heal. I know these aren't max level characters and everything, but it's nice to see that, you know, it's just not a full reset when they cast that ability. Channels take way too long. Yeah. Yeah, they have other forms of healing, but that's like their bigger one. Yeah, the channeled healing abilities are always interesting. And namely in that people don't like to run them. We got the fighter. Fighter is an agent of chaos on the battlefield, channeling mana to convert the magical essence surrounding them into sheer offensive power to tremendously amplify their strength. They're masters of close quarters combat, hold firmly to the adage that the best defense is an unstoppable offense in combat, leveraging their attacks to sustain their onslaught while overwhelming the enemy in close quarters. Their gap-closing mobility, along with their resistance to magic that can impede, control, or limit movement, allows them to ramp up in power and momentum and keep the pressure on. Yeah, this is... Out of all the Archetype live streams, the fighter, if I were to rank it, I would say the fighter was the best live stream in my opinion. I thought that was the best Archetype live stream. Bard, in my opinion, was second best. I thought the Bard was fantastic. I would like to see, like what Tana you're talking about here, I would like to see some Cleric updates, because it's been a little bit since we've seen it. They've probably made some improvements overall to like what the overall kit is. And we haven't seen it. Of course, I mean, we're 9 days from Alpha 2, so I'll just see it then. But, yeah. Well, no, I changed my mind. Let's get the new stuff, and then we'll just look at Cleric when we get into Alpha 2. Look at this magical boy. 9 days. That's right. Garo, what's going on? Maybe they're just showing the flashes. I think they are. I think they're just highlighting a few different skills. There's better healing skills than the channeled one, for sure. Like, not stronger, but just more functionally useful. Maybe also stronger. I'm not sure. It's been a while since I've looked at the Cleric. Mages are the unparalleled masters of arcane might, harnessing the boundless energy of Vera's raw essence to affect reality itself. Their command over mystical arts allows them to unleash devastating attacks with an arsenal of powerful area of effect spells, a vast array of elemental attacks, and curses that can debilitate their foes. These powers, along with other useful utility magic that can bestow powerful enhancements on allies, makes mages an indispensable member of any adventuring party. Have you read the descriptions of the rogue and summoner? I have not. We are not there yet. We're ranger, rogue, summoner, and then tank. We're just going down the list right now. I'm very excited to see those. Because yeah, that'll be, hopefully there's some stuff in there and it's not just a placeholder. Dude. Ranger art. Let's go. That's sick. That is sick. Rangers have a profound connection to the world around them, which gives them an ability to track enemy targets that borders on the supernatural. That's so great. And a skill for camouflage that gives them an enormous advantage in any terrain. Their magical acumen is based on their strong affinity with the natural world, allowing them to harness nature's fury in battle while destroying foes with devastating hails of arrows and crippling weapon strikes. Rangers also use this natural magic to enhance their mobility on the battlefield by leaping out of harm's way. Be wary, for it is said that when a ranger marks you for death, it is time to get your affairs in order. I really like the ranger kit too. I think the ranger kit's really good. I'm not super interested in playing a bunch of bow-based ranger. If you could make like a good melee ranger, I would absolutely play it. Like an acrobatic, in-your-face melee damage dealer would be really fun. Be really fun. I know most people that play ranger, they wanna go the whole bow Legolas route, which I totally get, but I like the melee combat, being able to dance around people and everything. But it's a very unique kit also. And the camouflage is obviously nice. Camouflage is very nice. Being for a bow ranger, no Legolas. You don't want to be handsome, Tana? I'm just kidding. Look at this. This is exactly what they look like. I'm gonna have to take a picture of this and use it as my profile picture on Discord. One with the shadows. Oh, wait, hold on. Gall says they fixed the camouflage issue that I mentioned in the feedback thread. Now you can't be selected at all while camouflaged. Really? I kind of like the idea of being able to select, like if you could see somebody camouflage, you should still be able to target them. But I suppose that creates an issue. Like if you're in a tab target game, it automatically highlighting via tab would be a problem. I could see that. Okay. Grim, what's going on, man? It's been a while. How are you? I actually saw you comment on our interview. Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. This is what I actually want. This is what I actually want. I am waiting patiently. I will obviously try everything like I always do, but stealthy, fast, high damage build, this is me. Previously I said you could left click camouflage people in the distance, but that makes left click a stealth check. Oh yeah, that'd be a problem. Because yeah, not everybody should be able to stealth check. Yeah, that'd be very problematic. For sure. One with the shadows, knowing how to move with subtlety and when to stay put, the rogue's stealth is unmatched. The rogue is a master of opportunity, using skill, positioning, and the environment to dish out frightening amounts of damage. See, you had me at frightening damage. In their downtime, they provide excellent scouting, helping their friends navigate dangers otherwise unseen. So good. That's so good. Doing well. You guys did great in the interview. Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, it seems to be very well received. Which we are obviously hoping for. We were hoping that the community would get a lot out of it. And it seems like that worked. It seems like that worked out pretty well. I know Nice got pinged quite a bit. I got pinged quite a bit. I think the vast majority of people said they enjoyed it. Obviously, you know, you're gonna get some people that disagree, and that's fine. Like, you got gamers that enjoy different things, and you know, I talked a lot about combat, and you know, Nice talked a lot about big picture stuff, and that's some things that people don't care about. So I totally get it. The interview was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. There is always room for a rogue alt. Yeah, I'm gonna have to screenshot this later. I'm absolutely gonna do that. We're gonna. Oh, we didn't go into this. Okay, we're gonna go through all the main archetypes, and then we will look at the secondary archetypes. Secondary. I care only about combat. Yeah, me too. I don't. Sorry. Let me reword that. I don't only care about combat. I think combat in this game will make or break it for a lot of players. Like if you're gonna have a PvX environment where there's a lot of PvP and there's a lot of PvE, how your characters interact with that environment is very important for longevity. And so combat, in my opinion, is one of the things that's going to keep people around. Like we can look at Throne of Liberty, for instance. I think Throne of Liberty is pretty fun. The performance is good. There's some hang-ups in my opinion. Like I don't personally think the combat is bad, but there's just some things that need to be cleaned up. It's tough to put words to a description on this, but what I would say is like every once in a while when you're playing, some things just feel a little disjointed, just a little bit, right? And you know good combat when you feel it. It doesn't matter what type it is. It doesn't matter if it's action, tab, whatever. Like you can tell the difference between like a good flowing game and one that isn't almost immediately. If I hate the combat, I won't play, hence my installing Throne of Liberty. That's fair. That's fair. I think that one's very subjective, especially on what you choose, whether you choose tab or the action. Yeah, it's very janky. I do agree with that. The summoner is never alone. 2 hands are good, but in the summoner's opinion, more hands are always better. The right tool of every job, there's no situation they can't handle through their connection to the void and other realms, summoning assistance through the portal, they call upon the occult to join them in battle, supporting their allies, banishing their adversaries, and controlling an enemy. Summoners can shift to easily fill gaps in the battlefield wherever they are needed. Yeah, it's so cool. That's so cool. Like the fact that summoner can kind of be a jack of all trades for everything. Like you can mix and match. It's the only reason I think I'd want to run summoner, which is kind of funny because my favorite class in ESO right now is Necromancer. And summoner is probably the closest thing that Necromancer has, but I don't know. I guess I have to see it. I'm not ruling it out. I feel like it's not going to be something I want to main. That's how I feel about Throne of Liberty. I'm enjoying the active combat style. Is Ashes similar to that? They're similar in quite a few ways, Grim. They're similar in that both games are hybrid combat. You'll be able to switch to an action camera or tab target if you want to, depending on what you're playing. So Throne of Liberty has that, the being able to switch to camera modes. They're also supposed to have skills and abilities based off whatever you're activating. Your character will automatically switch to them. There's a lot of functional things that work the same way. But what I will say is, I think from what I've seen with what we've seen with Alpha 2, I would say Alpha 2 Ashes of Creation combat looks functionally very similar to Throne and Liberty fully released. And maybe that's cope. Like I know somebody that actually is playing right now can tell me otherwise if they agree or disagree. But from an outsider's perspective, seeing like how the classes interact and everything, I think they got the same amount of jankiness to them. Where, you know, Throne and Liberty released this live, and so I don't know how much will be fixed. And Ashes of Creation is currently in Alpha 2. It makes sense that it's going to be, you know, combat's going to be a little disjointed at times. That's how I would say it, but I very well could be wrong. That's just my perspective. I think there's a lot of similarities. You really have to feel combat. It's hard to see. Exactly. That's why I was trying to preface. Like, I don't exactly know. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Tank's primary role is to draw attackers to them while absorbing damage that might kill or severely injure their allies, while other archetypes seek to avoid pain. The tank thrives on it. Increasing their durability and damage dealt. Their wall they can put up is so cool. Their Master of Defense allows them to redirect, absorb, negate incredible amounts of damage that their party members otherwise take. A well-played tank controls the tide of the battle, distracting enemies and hampering their movements while rallying their allies and leading them to victory. No one lives forever, but a renowned hero who reaches his or her twilight years probably owes their longevity to a reliable tank. Pascals, what's going on, dude? Is this for PC? Yeah, this is Ashes of Creation's PC only. What's going on, man? It's been a while. It's been a long, long time. I hope you're doing well. All right, so now we got all those. We can go through the different themes and stuff, and then we can go through... They got a lot for some of these. Holy cow. Archetype themes, courage. Tank loves being on the front line and gains courage when they deal or take damage. Courage increases their damage dealt and reduces damage taken. Courage is used as a special resource to activate and amplify certain tank abilities. Wow. Missed you, busy with work. I totally get it, man. I totally get it. I've also been quite busy. Once we get into the fall here, around my house, when we get into the fall, it gets very hectic. But when I get some free time, I try to hop on and chat with you guys and everything. Protection. The tank provides layers of protection for their party. Tank can choose to protect a specific party member, redirecting a portion of the damage they take to the tank. Some tanks may also choose the Aegis ability, which redirects a portion of the damage all nearby party members take to the tank. You know what's funny is ESO. I've made this comment before, but ESO came out with a set like this to where if you aggroed somebody, what it would do is it would take 50% of the damage away from your allies, 50%, and it would do 100% more damage to you. And it was so unbelievably tanky if you played it right for your allies. Like they're taking half damage. Like they're taking half damage. It was ridiculous. But no tanks wanted to run it because it increased their damage and it made them not tanky anymore. And you know, like a lot of not so good tanks don't want to rely on their ability to mitigate damage. They want to, I don't know, they'd rather stay alive than help their group. Like I never saw that set in PvP, and every time I tried it, I was like, this is really strong. So I love this idea of, it's a very common thing, but it's just kind of funny that they had that much of a buff in a set in ESO and nobody ran it. Endurance. The tank has supernatural endurance that is enhanced by their arsenal of survivability enhancing abilities. Good timing while using these survival abilities is key, as a dead tank cannot protect their allies. Supernatural endurance. Man, am I gonna have to play a tank? That was before mitigation was as it is now. Yeah, their mitigation calculations were wrong, right? And they had to adjust some things. Like their formula was wrong. Then they have disruption. Tanks has access to many skills that disrupt the enemy, locking them up and preventing them from harming the tank or their allies. Yeah, so they got kick. This must be a mitigation. Yeah. Okay. With some redirect damage. Awesome job on the interview, by the way. Appreciate that, Smevs. Thank you. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. Yeah, okay, so that's a redirect. Wow. Cool. Throw a rallying banner to the target location that spawns an absorption field upon impact. You and all allies that enter the absorption field are granted temporary health equal to 20% of your maximum health. Then we got grapple. We got some get over here stuff. That's fair. I'm not gonna lie. I hate chains. I hate chains so much. but I get it. Take aim and hurl a chain javelin at your target, damaging the first target it contacts and immediately pulling them to the caster. Target suffers a tapering snare for 3 seconds. Yeah, grapple damaging the first target it contacts. Interesting wording. Yes. Very much so. Strikes the closest enemy target in front of you. On hit, you gain 1 stack of vengeance, granting you temporary health. Generates 100% additional threat. All right. Okay, 20% of all damage. Then we got our secondary archetypes. So tank with Bard is an Argent. Tank with Cleric is a Paladin. Tank with Fighter is a Knight. I think I would go Knight if I went tank, because I'd want that extra backup damage, or I'd go Knight Shield. Like, the idea of tank rogue is so interesting. Then you have your spell shield, so you got your tank and your mage. And then Warden. Here's our Warden. So you got Ranger, tank Ranger. And then Knight Shield. Tank Rogue. And then Keeper, tank Summoner. And then Guardian, tank. I wonder if you can jump in front of the grapple. That would be interesting. That would be interesting. Yeah, you'd think with tab that you wouldn't be able to. Like whatever you're selected on. But maybe, I mean, maybe it doesn't. That would mean then it doesn't have collision. I don't know. I don't know. I just talked myself in and out of like 2 or 3 different things right there in real time. That would be interesting. I mean, I would think that whoever's in front should take priority, because I think it'd be a huge pain in the ass. Like if you had a frontline group of tanks and then a tank came in and was pulling healers into the middle of everybody through people, I think that'd be really problematic. But who knows how it actually works. That's cool. There's a lot there for tank. Let's see what else they have for summoner. I don't think they had much. Yeah. We got enchanter. So enchanter is summoner bard. Necromancer. Here's our necromancer. Summoner cleric. Let's go. There's my necromancer. Wild blade is a summoner fighter. Spellmancer. Summoner mage. Beast master. That's such a good name. Then you got your shadowmancer, your conjurer, and your brood warden. Okay. I personally think that the rogue has some of the best class names in the entire 64 class system. Look at this. You got charlatan, you got rogue bard, charlatan, then you have a cultist. Come on, who doesn't like cultist? Rogue cleric, and obviously you have duelist. Duelist is really nice. Night spell, and then rogue ranger is predator. Predator's pretty fucking sick. Then you have assassin, shadow lord. I'm curious how a summoner secondary. I mean, I'm curious about all the secondaries, but I'm very curious about the summoner secondaries. Shadow lord, and then you got shadow guardian. It's very good. What we got for rangers? I hope some of these names aren't carved in stone. I really don't think enough effort was put into the class names. There's a few that I wouldn't be against changing for sure. I like most of them. Yeah, every once in a while I see one and I'm like, I think that one could probably be a little bit better. I agree with you. What's going on, Penumbra? Okay, so archetype themes for Ranger. Ranger can mark a target for death, and they have scouting, ability to track and investigate areas unseen, makes the Ranger an ideal scout for a party. Ammo imbues, super interesting. Ranger can imbue their ammo with unique effects, granting the ability to strategically prepare for an engagement. I'm very excited about these. Mobility. The ranger's familiarity with the natural world lets them leap over obstacles and increase the movement speed of the ranger and their allies. I'm in agreement about the names. Wow, I didn't realize we had so many name connoisseurs in chat today. Okay. All right. So when we get to them, if you guys don't like one, can you post it? Like if we get to one and it's, you know, not cool for you, just let me know. I'm a pretty big fan of all of the rogue ones. Tank does it. Yeah, that's fair. Checking in on some of my favorite content creators despite being banned from voices. What's up, Penumbra? Yeah. Right, so we got Snipe. We've already seen fully charged channel. Mark of the Tiger. Marks target increasing critical chance versus critical chance. Okay. Disengage. I like the backflip a lot. Then we got camouflage. All right. Here's the stuff. Secondary archetypes. Bow singer. So we got ranger, bard, soul bow. I will be honest, I'm not a huge fan of soul bow. That's one of those I think could be better. Strider I think is perfect. I think Strider is perfect. Ranger fighter makes complete sense. Aragorn style things. Scion, I think Scion's cool. Hawkeye is more than fine. Scout, perfect. Falconer, that's good. Sentinel. I think Soulbow is the only one I'm personally not a fan of under Ranger. Some of these have a lot more archetype themes than others. This one's status effects: burn, chilled, volatile, shocked, and staggered. Mages have a large variety of status effects they're able to apply and capitalize on as they work together with other archetypes to build devastating combos. Okay. And then their area of effect masters. Wide variety of AoE. Spells such as Blizzard, Cone of Cold, Sleep, Chain Lightning, Magma Field, Meteor, and more. Yeah, this is the new Ashes of Creation website. It just came online today. I saw some people posting pictures and stuff, and I hadn't checked it out yet. This is very cool. Soul Bolt doesn't fit with the rest. Yeah, that was kind of my opinion. I thought the rest were really good. It's tough though, right? Like what do you call a ranger cleric? Yeah, Frostbolt. Okay, so that's Frostbolt. There's Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning looks sick. A lot of channels on the mage. Erupts the earth at target location, forming a boiling pool of lava that periodically deals 25% fire damage directly and applies 50% fire damage over time as burning. Lasts 8 seconds. We got Arcane Volley. I don't know what I think about this one. Maybe it's just my dislike for purple. I like everything else. Okay. Real problem with picking class names is that a lot of the organizations may have names that identify the ranks as well. Hard to pick a name that could be used at other organizations. That's fair. That's fair. All right, so we got Sorcerer, which is Mage Bard. Acolyte, that's a great name. Acolyte is a great name. Mage Cleric. Battle Mage, perfect. Arch Wizard, perf. That's good. Spell Hunter. Sure. Shadowcaster, I really like that one. Warlock, and then Spellstone. I think most of these are pretty good. Spellstone might be the only... It's not bad. It's not bad. I'm not as keen with it as I am the other ones, I suppose. I like the other ones, though. And I remember the fighters archetypes or classes being very good. I thought fighter and ranger had the best ones, personally. Fighter is second to none when it comes to raw physical strength. They capitalize on this to deal massive amounts of damage to foes daring or stupid enough to stay within their striking range. Momentum. Counter to most other archetypes, the fighter only gets stronger as they remain in combat. They utilize multiple different combat forms that grant them different types of stat bonuses proportional to the amount of combat momentum they have acquired during an encounter. Yeah, momentum is sick. Perseverance. In order to sustain their momentum, the fighter has many different tools under the belt that allow them to survive, conserve, and restore energy during combat to keep them going, even over the longest battles. We got Brutal Cleave. Perform a wide sweeping attack, dealing damage to all the enemies in front of you. This ability shares a cooldown with Overpower, and hitting an enemy with a weapon combo, Finisher, refreshes its cooldown. 10 to 20 combat momentum based on the number of the targets hit. Then we got Berserk. Conserve your combat momentum rapidly, gaining 30% more physical power and movement speed, and immunity to disabling effects while active. Must have at least 20 combat momentum to activate, and the effect ends when all combat momentum is depleted. That's a crazy buff. 30% more physical power, movement speed, and immunity, all while in Berserk. Whirlwind. Pretty standard with an uppercut at the end. The caster is immune to hard disabling effects while spinning. Activate the ability again to end the channeling early. Okay. 20% additional damage to weakened targets. Battle Cry. Apply Rile to the caster and all nearby party members. And weaken to all nearby enemies. Gain 5 combat momentum for each target riled and each enemy target that was shaken. Okay. Okay. Then we got Blade Dancer. Fighter Bard is Blade Dancer. High Sword is Fighter Cleric. I think that's good. Weapon Master, Fighter. Spell Sword. We got Hunter. That's so good. And then Shadowblade. For us ESO Nightblade mains, we got Shadowblade right here. Fighter Rogue. Blade Collar. And then you have Dreadnought. See, I think Fighter might have the best archetype class names. I think these are fantastic. There's not a single one here that I don't think is good. Did I say that right? I think every single one of these is good, personally. This new website looks like solid gold. It is quite nice. It is quite nice. Cleric, Restoration, Radiance, and Support. So we have Deliverance, charges up healing energy that heals a target ally upon release. Scaling power to longer it is charged up to 1000% healing. Consecrating Wave. Send forth a wave of radiance that deals damage and applies volatile to all enemies in front of you. Any allies hit with the wave are healed. Dispel 1 buff from each target hit that is silenced. Okay. Wings of Salvation. That looks so sick. Dash to a target ally, granting 250% temporary health to the caster and target on arrival. That's a good looking skill. That's a good looking skill in my opinion. Sorry I'm late. We going through the site? We are. Wanted to check it out. I hadn't seen it in full yet. Resurrect target allies within 25% of their max health and mana. And that's, yeah. I think High Sword sounds great. Could happily play a fighter with self heals. Sounds nice, doesn't it? It's the dream. Like, what's better? Fighter with self heals or fighter with mitigation? Like tank background. Spell Slinger is better than Spell Hunter. That's fair. So we got Scryer, High Priest, Templar. Gotta go with the classic here. Oracle solid. You got Protector, Shadow Disciple. Shadow Disciple's nice. Shaman, Grux, what's going on? Good to see you. And we got Apostle. Yeah, I think clerics are pretty good overall. Shaman's a nice name, especially for cleric summoner. I like that. Of course, cleric is OP. How many times was cleric nerfed in A1? It's always the healers, man. It's always the healers, right? Every MMO, the healer has to be the strongest friggin' thing in the game. Always. Unless, of course, it's the rogue. Like, it's like cleric 6 out of 10 times, and then it's rogue the 1 or 2 out of 10, and then it's a random something else, and the rogue is the most annoying to deal with. In my opinion. Archetype themes: melody, dance, song, and story. Clerics are target 1? Yes. I remember I played one of the first times I played Templar in ESO. I was playing with my friends, and I was playing a damage dealing Templar. But I mean, you still have you have off heals, right? So I'm playing the Templar, and I'm keeping a couple of my friends alive. We were fighting it's like 3v15 versus this Emperor group, and we didn't survive for very long. Like, we didn't live for very long. We died, and the Emperor, like I had talked to before, he started bagging me. And I was like, so I shot him a message. I'm like, hey man, like what's going on here? Because we'd always been friendly before. And he's like, you were the Templar in the group, right? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, yeah, go fuck yourself. I was like, okay. I didn't realize that Templars were hated this much. I didn't realize, like, I was upsetting you as Emperor in like a 19v3. That's my bad. I'll bend over and take it harder next time. That's my bad. Melody, dance, song, and story is so good. Bard is so good. With no rogue at the start of Alpha 2, I'll be playing Bard. I am strongly considering Bard. For me, it's Bard or Fighter. And I'm leaning Fighter, but I really want to play Bard too. Bard looks so good. I think on paper, aesthetically, I think Bard and Fighter are the 2 best aesthetic archetypes going in Alpha 2. In my opinion. Class fantasy of healing do be crazy. Yeah. It's so good. Like, you get movement speed, you get to give shields. Like, this is the perfect, like, people that really want to be like midfielders in soccer, where you can go offensive, defensive. Like, Bard is so good for stuff like that. Like, it's the perfect, what does your group need? I might be able to provide it sort of archetype. It's pretty sick. We got Flourish, Shielding Dance. It's so good. Shielding Dance is so good. We got Dark Lullaby. Oh, I didn't read them to you guys. I'm sorry. Slide forward gracefully in your aim direction and gain Pep. Can be used concurrently with any other ability. Pep increases movement speed by 20% for 5 seconds. Yeah, so Bard has the 20%, and then I think they have another skill that I'm pretty sure it provides 30% to allies. So you provide it. So you can get multiple stacks of movement speed on a bard and just be so mobile. Heal yourself and allies for 50% magical power every second and apply up to 1 instance of shield to each target as they enter the dance radius. Shield provides temporary health equal to 400% of the caster's magical power. Lasts for 15 seconds. Right. We've got Dark Lullaby. Deal 40 to 80% magical damage to target enemy each second. Scales in power over the course of the cast. This damage will not wake an incapacitated target. Dude, this is... Nice and I talked about this. This skill is going to have so much... It could really have really nice capabilities in a well-formed group. The fact that you can incapacitate people, other abilities will break people out of the incapacitate early. This one will not. And so you can get more damage in. And so knowing like when incapacitates come in, like groups that coordinate to get this, to get the Dark Lullaby off and everything, to get that free damage on somebody that can't defend themselves. Really nice. Really nice. If Bard is too good, I'll find it hard to switch to Rogue when it comes out. Yeah. Yeah. I hear you there. The leveling hours is going to be so brutal for wanting to make a Bard. Or, sorry, for wanting to make a Rogue. Like, man, that'll be brutal. I have to buy my wife a gaming laptop now because she saw the Bard preview. I get it. I get it. I'm considering doing the same for my wife. I really am. I don't know how much she'll play, but I think she would play. Summoner will also be like that, whatever the party needs. I think the summoner will be even more than the most versatile for a party. Yeah. Yeah. Like the fact that you can just build it out potentially is going to be so good. Are you going to go with the Bard, Summoner, Taylor Swift build? I mean, I might have to. We support Taylor Swift in this house. We got Gambit. And Gambit's such a cool skill. Transfer life to or from target party member depending on who has a lower % health. This ability will not reduce either player below 20% health. Character that loses life in this exchange gains solace, increasing healing received by up to 35% on life lost. So like if you see somebody at low health and like you're at full health and you're out of a fight, you can provide Gambit and quick get your ally out of there, but then you're taking damage. Or you're losing health. You're not taking damage, but you're losing health. It's a super cool skill with a high skill gap if you use it well. Gambit will be the biggest heal in the game from HP built Bard. I can see that. Yep. And it's going to be very specific based on like where you're at. Taylor Swift, my favorite Chiefs player. Dude, all your skill position players are either old or injured. She's probably the best athlete on the field. What's going on, Nice? I shouldn't joke like that. The Niners are literally playing the Chiefs this weekend, and they can't beat them. It's all in good fun. Please don't make fun of me when my team loses. All right, secondary archetypes for Bard. We got Minstrel, Soul Weaver, Tellsword, Magician, Song Warden, Trickster. See that's just solid right there. Like that's so good. And then you got Songcaller, Taylor Swift build right here, and you got Siren. Also very good. Yeah, good stuff. What's a Tellsword? Bard fighter, I guess. I guess they're trying to inspire the speaking aspects of Bard, I guess, why they're going Tellsword. But yeah, that's a good point. Just woke from a nap, finally got a little rest. Yeah, I said it earlier nights, I was gonna edit a video, but I also didn't sleep very well last night. And so I figured I'd chat with the community instead. Thought it'd be more fun to talk about the interview and more fun to talk about the website, and then I'll edit tomorrow. Wallpapers, screenshots. Okay, we've seen all this stuff. I don't think there's anything else in here. Check out the news. Alpha 2 Gleam giveaway, guide to Alpha 2. Development update. Yeah. Yeah, you guys have seen all this. The new stuff is the races and the archetypes. Very cool. I just keep getting distracted all day, man. Like somebody will ping or I'll go look at comments and I'm just like I'm getting way too distracted today. Class type, weapon type, name. That is good stuff. This is good stuff. I'm going to take a screenshot of it. Yeah. No. There we go. We'll save that for later. But yeah, that's the website. Let's go see some of the new comments. Wow, 8K views in 12 hours. Nice. Wow. Oh. Wow. Penumbra with the $20 super chat. Nothing wrong with being distracted. This new website is killer. Very well put together. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it, man. Yeah, I agree. I think it is quite nice. Get it? Nice and never mind. I'm just kidding. All right, let's see what some of the comments are. The blind MMO ranking was easily my favorite part. I love this. Love the channel and always check in on new AOC updates. Do you have any guild recommendations or a community? Don't have any buddies that have the game, but realize this is not a game. Steven will drive the first Great Depression in Vero. What's this in reference to?
And they won't even know it's us that's doing it. So like, I mean, you know, there's
oh, the stock market question. Okay, let's hear this again.
Those events and turn the outcome towards a negative, driving the potential stock value of that organization down.
Excellent.
All right. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Steven Sharif is all about insider trading.
That was such a good question.
Insider trading is a reality.
Okay. Sorry, let me check chat here real quick. Turn this down just a little bit. There we go. Got to figure out how to download these website vids for background footage. True. I got to do that too. Viral, thank you so much. Did he chastise you guys at all about the surprise games at the end? Okay, so when we did it, we talked to their community team and we told them in advance like what we wanted to do. Volume's too low to hear. Is it good now? Oh, you talk about the video. Oh yeah. I'll go back and I'll turn that up. That's my bad. That's on my end. I had the sound down really low because of the. That's my bad. Let me stop this and we'll go back and we'll play it again. Thank you. But yeah, so what we had to do is we put forward our pitch for what we wanted to do, the questions we wanted to ask and everything. And then we also put forward the games. We provided 2 different ideas and they were okay with both. And even before we released it, we gave them the final pass on what they were going to okay and not, because you know, some YouTubers can maybe edit some stuff in there and make it look, in a different way. And so they wanted to make sure none of that stuff was going to happen. Like we just released the conversation the way it happened, and they were more than okay with it. I thought it was fun to do because we wanted to showcase Steven the gamer side, because too often when he gets up here and he like presents to people, it's always, creative director, CEO of the game, these sorts of things. And it's all very professional, but as a gamer, he also likes games. So it's like, okay, well, what games do you like? What games do you enjoy playing? And so I thought it'd be fun to get that side. That was my perspective on it. That's why we did it. And I think most people agree. And a few people are like, you kind of snuck it upon him. Like, maybe other people in the industry may not like it so much, but it's like, I don't know. I think gaming preferences is one of those things where it's like, you like what you like. You know what I mean? All right, I'll play the start of the stock market question here. We'll turn everything up here. Going, like, help me fund my war machine, basically. Up. We'll turn it up. Going, like, help me fund my war machine.
Oh no, this is good.
Tell me, I'm sorry.
There you go, guys.
Today was a little bit of a cluster for me. So my headspace is very much in that spot.
No, that's okay. It's okay. I think this has been awesome.
Yeah.
So, all right. Once again, in the same vein of trying to find questions that haven't been asked for a while, one of your Kickstarter goals that was met was having an in-game stock market. We've not heard anything about the in-game stock market in a while, and this got my imagination flowing. I love combat, but I also love making money to fund my combat. So
Exactly.
I want to know my capabilities.
That's the type of player I am too.
Like I need the money to keep going. Like, help me fund my war machine, basically. So my question is, what can you tell us about the stock market? And can I do things like potentially short a node market right before I siege it? Because you said that the market will shut down when a siege happens, but is there futures trading? Can I short it and then take advantage of dominating and crushing the node?
Yeah, so there hasn't been really any work other than paper design on the stock market, to be clear. And the stock market is obviously a different system than the auction house.
Yep.
And I think what you're referencing is likely the material auction house of a particular node when it is under siege. After the declaration period is launched, that material market becomes frozen so as not to allow the potential reward pool that exists within the node, being the particular materials as part of its warehouse structure,
Sure.
can be looted and removed after the declaration period. Now, with regards to the stock market, in the past, when I've talked about this design, takes into account certain metrics that relate to success and failures of organizations. Now, those organizations can be guilds, they can be node citizenship populations, they can be social organizations, they can be religious institutions.
Sure.
Whatever, there's a number of different pseudo factions within the game that can potentially have player interest and can derive some success metrics from specific event engagements. Those event engagements could be things like guild wars, node wars, caravan runs, trade agreements, social policy enactments, the wave-based node events. Like, there's a number of different things where you can have success failure points that then inform the metric that the stock price is predicated on, and players can purchase in at a certain price. That's the intent behind the stock market system. And so, to answer your question, is it possible that as an outside actor, you could influence the performance of a particular organization across one of those events? And the answer is yes. So if you wanted to, as an adverse party, engage with, let's say, a guild that you don't like when they're running a trade run, or when they're engaged in a node war, or when they're attempting to complete a raid boss, there is the PVX component of being able to interrupt or engage with them in those events and turn the outcome towards a negative, driving the potential stock value of that organization down.
Excellent.
All right. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Steven Sharif is all about insider trading.
Insider trading is a reality. I mean, it is a truth. And prior to the SEC's formation, again, I am not a fan of insider trade. Just to be clear, in the game design
That's so funny
perspective,
that he had to preface
game
that.
design perspective, this is a truth of human history, and we want to emulate that truth
killed me.
because it creates interesting dynamics between players that serves as soft friction that people can get pissed about and invested in.
Yes.
I completely agree. Like I was looking at this and looking at situations to where, you know, you appoint a mayor, right? And the mayor can be honorable. The mayor can be upstanding, and the mayor can also not be those things and just basically be like, "Hey guys, we are going to invest and build into animal husbandry. You may want to get in on the ground floor here because I'm guiding the direction of the node.
Absolutely.
Here you go. Be an angel investor and get rich." And so
and now you have a spy that's a part of that citizenship group who's like, yo, come here. I just got the DL on what the mayor said he's going to do. Let's go invest in it and buy that stock out at a higher price than their population can, and we'll reap the return. And they won't even know it's us that's doing it. So like, I mean, you know, there's a lot of layers of interaction there that all relates to player driven experiences, which is the holy grail ultimately of any online multiplayer experience. You know, we as designers, we as developers can only curate so much. Ultimately, if our approach instead is to provide tools that then the players get to utilize to create their own stories, those are the ones that we as players tend to remember best.
Yes.
I agree. Yeah. I thought that was a great answer. So we put it at the end because like nothing's been talked about with the stock market in years. It's been a very long time, and we weren't sure if there was going to be anything. We weren't sure if there's going to be more than what they said, and so we didn't want to start off and like have it be awkward. Like, yeah, there's nothing to talk about here, and then you know you go to the next question. So it's like, okay, we're gonna put the worst potential questions at the end. And I thought this turned out to be one of the better ones. I thought this turned out to be like one of the best questions and one of the best answers. It was super interesting. I was really happy he was transparent with this and other questions by saying on paper only. I completely agree. Yeah, like knowing that it's not going to be online for a very long time, but the fact that you know it's still going to happen has unique strategic things you can do with it, and that was the cool part. Could see the stock market locally incentivize goodwill between guilds. If everyone is successful, then your stocks will be worth more. Yeah. Let me 1 second. Okay, that's the wrong thing. There it is. 1 second. I'll pull this over. So here's what they have so far. This is the stock exchange. Great interview. It was a lot of fun. So this is what they have on the wiki. I'm sure you guys have seen the wiki 10,000 times. But stock exchanges were a Kickstarter stretch goal unlocked, reaching $3 million mark. Planned feature for the launch of Ashes of Creation. Value of stocks is influenced by world events and the performance of nodes, social organizations, or guilds. Hard metrics such as quest lines, nearby resources, citizen progression, and purchase of local real estate will determine the value of purchasable shares. So it looks like so I thought it was just going to be goods, right? I don't want to get too nerdy down this path because I don't want to tell you guys what I don't know and sound like an idiot. But like I never really thought about investing in the strength of a guild, right? Like potentially, hypothetically, right? Like you're on our, we'll use Envious, right? But we'll just use Envious as hypothetical. Like you're like, hey, Envious is over here. They're the only big guild over here by themselves. They're also better at PvP in this area. Their guild should really suffer no setbacks. Like they should really suffer no setbacks for a while. We should invest in them now. I never really, until I read this, I didn't think that investing in guilds is going to be an option. I thought that was super interesting. Can that system be used to collapse the game's economy? I'm not sure how in-depth it's going to be. I'm not sure, Grim. Flip side is when an enemy guild is trying to run things, you're going to want to throw a wrench into their success if they live outside your vassal network. Yeah, absolutely. Like this is There's just another way to make gold or lose a lot of gold. Hard metrics. So yeah, so it looks like you can increase the value of these things by doing different quests, leveling things up. So if like you have a level 5 animal husbandry thing, the value of animal husbandry in your node should go up based off of what's been done to complete it, things like that. Sieges will halt trading shares in a node. This is something that I read. This is what I was trying to bring up. So if somebody lays siege to the node, you can no longer trade shares at that point in time because your node is under war. But I was curious if there was futures trading to where you could short it. So like, hey, we think we're going to destroy this node. Can we take advantage of the fact that their stock market values are going to plummet? Ethereum sounds like a good investment. Yeah. Games economy is very localized. Correct. Yes. Open it up potential for economic sabotage. So this is one of the other questions.
Okay,
better.
your
That's
new
much better.
3
This is a long
million
one.
stretch goal, the stock market, it popped up yesterday when I looked at the page, and I was expecting something more. I'm not gonna lie, I was expecting something a bit more impressive for the 3 million. I was expecting something to amaze me. Don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure there's traders currently doing
You hear this
backflips about
stuff?
how impressive the stock market thing is. I mean, I'm assuming for them it's like the ultimate thing for their end game, or their future progressive mesa content. But with that, because it's starting to reflect a real world economy, and there has been a game before, EVE Online which did the same, reflecting a very real world economy. Usually problems come along with that, having it being reflected in that sense. So as sorry, I'm losing what I'm talking about now. As you have real world economy problems, that means you're going to need people to deal with them. And EVE Online came across this problem where the economy was, running out of control. People were manipulating it left, right, and center. Therefore, they had to, hire people to micromanage it. So what happens if that happens in Ashes of Creation? What happens if, the economy gets to a point where it needs someone to micromanage it?
Well, if it gets to that point, then we've done a bad job on design.
That's true.
I don't think that it's going to get to that point. I think we have a lot of testing phases, but
We also have a lot of, we've seen what's happened in
Right,
the industry,
exactly.
so we've got a lot of things to build on.
But most importantly, I think in relationship to the stretch goals, and some people maybe not thinking it is as big as a new race. I mean, one of the most important things that we're keeping in mind is obviously that scope creep thing, and
Right.
we definitely don't want to include stretch goals that are going to, as we feel from a development standpoint, present some type of roadblock on the time schedule of release
Right.
here. So obviously, when we're introducing new stretch goals, we are very cognizant of that fact, and that has been an issue with other games that have gone to Kickstarter, and we won't name those games, but there's one in
right.
particular. So we obviously want to make sure that our stretch goals are cognizant of that fact. However,
Well, I also wanted to say,
go ahead.
we wanted to hit all of our pillars with our stretch goals,
Right.
right? And this is the economic part of it.
Yes,
So-
absolutely. That's true. That's
Yeah.
That's a good point. But I would say this: this stretch goal is very in depth. It is a very integral part. If we reach it, that's going to present a whole new element to the economic gameplay of the game. And I think it's actually maybe the term that we used in regards to like stock exchange wasn't the best term maybe, but it communicated effectively what this entails on behalf of the players and certain organizations. So, I mean, to get into, I guess, a little bit of depth on what that system is going to entail, there are 3 primary points of organization in the world. First and foremost are nodes, right? Second are going to be player-created communities like guilds. And then third are going to be social organizations, which aren't owned by any person, but are system organizations that players can advance in as a community and stuff. And what the stock exchange does, it's not like a... It's not like actual real-world stock exchange thing. You're going to have people sitting in the middle of metropolises with their smart pads, buying and selling stuff and listing purchase orders. It's not going to be anything like that. This is purely representative of the setting, of a medieval high fantasy setting.
Yeah.
And what happens is, as nodes develop to certain stages, potentially we're discussing probably around the 4th or 5th stage, there's going to be an opportunity for the player-run governments to potentially build a market, and that market may open up. And again, this is all
long
pre-alpha
answer, guys.
discussion.
Sorry.
We have alphas and betas
Very
to work
long
on
answer.
these specific designs and ideas. But that marketplace may then constitute a number of shares that players can purchase from that node that reflect its progress along certain metric scales relating to the advancement of the node, the trades that the node may accomplish, nearby resources that may be put into the node, quest lines that may be completed by the node, its progression against other node progression.
When this came out too.
The citizens progression
The
versus
citizens
other
progression, exactly, of purchases of real estate within the area and the progression of freeholds within the realm. All of these metrics are going to be measured, and they're going to be put against the value of stocks that are held for players within that node.
Yeah, I thought it was super interesting. I thought it was super interesting, and I wanted to hear if there was a little bit more, because I mean, it's been 7 years since that. Time schedule release by 2020. Yeah. Lex and his team will let us down. They are great. Yes. Hopefully I'll never have to deal with this high level nonsense. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's a choice, right? And it's... So here's my entire thing. And I know a lot of players are like me. I'm not unique or special in this regard. I obviously like combat. I like PvP. I like those things. But I also need money in order to do those things more. And so I always look at the best way to make the most gold possible. I'm not one of those people that's going to sit down for, hours a day and go sits on the market and finds arbitrage to trade things and stuff like that. But if I can find things that I enjoy doing that make me enough gold to where I can continue to PvP, those are the things that I like to do. And potentially doing things like investing in nodes and guilds of strong organizations. Like if you know groups in an area and you know they're going to succeed, that this might be a very profitable thing to do. It might be, but yeah, no regulatory commission to restrict the purchase and sale of stocks. So yeah, this is just like a crazy game where you can just have money and it can potentially work or fail for you. What happens to that progress when captured by a new guild, baseline reset, or they take control of that progress level? So yeah, that's why I was asking. I don't really know. I don't know what happens. And so I guess you can have sabotage. Like I would be under the assumption that, if you're investing in a node and the node gets destroyed, the baseline price just plummets because all the levels of all the different things that you purchase in. Like if you buy an index for that node, well, the node's destroyed, like the index is destroyed essentially, like monetarily, I would assume. So I think there's pros and cons to both. It was a question I was very curious about because yeah, they really haven't had any new stuff come out in a while. Like I said, this one came out 7 years ago. That answer came out 7 years ago. So it's like, okay, well, maybe there's an update to this. Hopefully there's an update to this. So yeah, I was hopeful to get an answer, and I thought that answer was pretty good. New player experience is good. Guild Wars. I was hoping to hear the bonuses and penalties. I'm not going to lie. I understand why they waited, but I was hoping. I had to shoot my shot on that one. Yeah, overall, I thought it was a very well done Q&A, and so Nice posted the main video, the full Q&A. I'm going to dive into the details of some of these in other videos in more depth, just nerding out a little bit more, explaining, why I think these questions are important, those sorts of things, and what answers we got or didn't get. And so the first one I have another video coming out soon, but I want to do an entire one on balancing. I think this one, it's very important for the longevity of the game, as far as not making sure every class is the same, but making sure that there's choices. Making sure that there's choices in a 64 class system boosts replayability, and it makes games more fun to play. And we've all experienced this, especially people on my channel that have played ESO. You guys know when they introduced hybridization, we went from having 14 classes to 7, because instead of having the best stamina or magicka version, you now have hybridized, right? And so it reduced the build variety by 50% by doing that one thing. And so now there wasn't the illusion of choice. It was just, you're going to run the best skill here. You're going to run the best skill here. This is now the best setup. You're now going to run this because it's by far the best setup. And all these choices and options you had before were completely eliminated. And that'd be really disappointing in a 64 class system. Like I watched, which interview was it? I want to say it was the DA Yokai interview. The DA Yokai interview, they were talking, I think it was that one, or it was the Vladis one where they were talking about augments. And Steven said, we want the augments and we want the classes to stand out as 64 classes. We may not execute it, but that's our intent. And so if their intent is to have 64 classes, I'm going to look at it through a 64 class system and how, they can make things better in that regard. Hi.
What are you doing?
I'm talking to the community. What are you doing? What's up?
So this is a relaxed situation.
Yes. I'm not interviewing Steven tonight. So
You fucking smoked the hallway.
hey, relax.
Watch through it.
I'm still salty about hybridization. It's disappointing, yeah. Really disappointing. Is there a place for small scale PvPers, or sort of like Cyrodiil, you get what you get? Depends on small scale. I will say this, Grim. I cannot officially state what I have seen or not seen for pre-alpha 2. I will just say I have seen 1vx's happen, potentially. That was awful. I think there's room for small scale outnumbered. I think there's room for small scale outnumbered fights, but like anything else, you're going to run across big groups depending on where you're at and what you're trying to do. I think both will happen. I think sometimes you're going to get steamrolled. You're going to go over to a node to pick a fight, and 20 people are going to come out, and you're going to have a not so good time, right? And I think there's other times you're going to have a really good small scale fight. And I think due to the size of the map, I think there will be a lot of that. What's up?
Why is Nice frozen?
It's the video that's paused.
Oh. That's
all. So we paused the video, so I'm talking to chat. I did get a little chub when he said that. Yeah. The balance answer was I had hoped that they were going to go into further depth, but they're not at a point to where they're going to bounce. So I understand. At the same time, there was just stuff that I wanted to make sure I didn't hear, and we didn't hear the things that I didn't want to hear. So I thought it was overall the balance question was fine. But yeah, there was trying to figure out the best way to say this. There's definitely some things that other games have done that have made deal breakers as far as balance goes, and it doesn't look like Intrepid has those red flags, if that makes sense. And I'll talk about it more in detail in my video. Screw replayability. I want 64 classes with diverse builds so that you don't know what to expect when you're in a... Yeah. Well, for me, Penumbra, that's replayability for me. Like, I love playing everything. And if there's 64 classes, I have the ability to play 64 classes. So if I play Rogue for a year and I'm really enjoying it, and all of a sudden I say, screw it, I want to go Summoner, I want to be able to hop on a Summoner and have it be viable. I want to have it be powerful in its own unique way. Obviously, we don't want it to dominate or anything, but I want to have that choice, right? I want to be able to choose to play a Summoner. I want to be able to choose and say, hey, I actually want to be a healer now. I want to go Cleric and keep people alive. And I want that to be powerful in its own unique way. I don't want to hop on a game where, in a rock, paper, scissors environment, and rock's not beating scissors. Like, rock isn't strong enough to beat scissors. And so because it's not, scissors is just crushing paper, and everybody's like, I have to go scissors in order to combat the other scissors. Like, this class is clearly the best. And so then you hop into the game and literally everybody's all in the same class because it's not getting countered well enough. And in order to deal with it, you have to run the same thing. And so that's what I talk about as far as replayability goes from a larger scale perspective. I played everything on ESO, and that was my favorite part about it, is I could go from Stamina Dragonite to Magicka Dragonite, and they played different. And then I went to Stamina Nightblade to Magicka Nightblade, and then Magic and Nightblade had melee and ranged a long time ago. And so there's all these different play styles within these things. And then hybridization happened and they cut them in half. And it was like, okay, so instead of me having 14 choices, I now only have 7. It was just unfortunate. Not sure Steven thinks about the metrics of balance. That's what the teams are for. Yeah, and that's fair. Like, he's not going to be an expert at everything. Absolutely. I think after there's actual playing, that will make it more obvious what is OP and what needs adjusting. Also 64 alts? Yes. I will have a few alts. 100%. I will have a few alts. And I have 2 daughters that are getting into the gaming age, and they can go around and they can kill spiders and stuff for me to level up my alts. Like, it's going to happen. I can't wait. But yeah, this is something I've said a lot on my channel talking about ESO. It's always more fun when all of the classes are strong enough. I hate it when that happens. When all of the classes are strong enough to where they're viable. They don't have to be perfectly like, hey, that we have the same damage output, we have the same this, but they're strong enough to where people hop in PvP. And you could normally tell, right? Like, the community kind of figures out what the strongest stuff is almost right away, or what the easiest, strongest thing to play is. And typically, depending on the patch, depending on how diversified it is, you'll either see like 2 classes if the disparity is way off kilter, or you'll see a lot of different things and people trying different. And that's how I want to see it. I want to see all these different unique builds of people trying different things. Ranged ranger, melee ranger, ranged fighter, tanky fighter, bursty fighter, like just different builds all over the place. Kids are great. You're so lucky. Thanks. Yeah, I'm a very lucky man. Very, very lucky. They can farm trees. Yes, they can farm trees. We'll have him in there doing video games for sure. But yeah, that was the main reason about the balance question. I know some people, they're like, I don't care about that. I want to do this. I want to do this. But I think making sure that whatever class or archetype you want to play has a place, I think that's important. And having a development team that identifies like, hey, we want Summoner to be about this. It's not doing this enough, so we need to provide it buffs. Or it's doing this too much, we're going to tone it back just a little bit. We still want it to be strong because every class needs to be strong, but we're just going to make some adjustments. Nepty, what's up, man? And ESO was very responsive to comments, right? It always felt like if people complained enough in that game, things got nerfed. And oftentimes they get nerfed to the ground. And New World, in my opinion, New World's balance was actually very, very good. Because they would listen to feedback. They would talk to the community. They had their weekly, bi-weekly YouTube videos, like something of power. I forget exactly what the title was. But they would go in and they're like, hey, we hear your feedback on the blunderbuss, right? We hear your feedback. We're looking into the damage on the blunderbuss. We're seeing what's going on. And so they noticed large amounts of feedback, right? So then they would go in and they had developer tools that would track how blunderbuss was doing in wars and how blunderbuss was doing in battlegrounds and how blunderbuss was doing in OPRs. So they had different tools. So it would basically show them the weapon layouts of the winning teams and the losing teams. And so then they'd have like win percentages of what weapons were working the best. And so they'd look at the blunderbuss and they would go, hey, like the win rates on blunderbuss is in the middle of the pack. Like we're not seeing a major issue. We're going to look a little bit further, but looking holistically at OPRs, we're not seeing an issue with blunderbuss. We're seeing it perfectly in line with everything else. Everything's fine. We see it's a little bit bursty here. We'll look into that and see if an adjustment needs to be made. But they were looking at data to make adjustments. They heard the feedback and then they were looking at data for the improvements. And their improvements were typically pretty good. And so I really liked how they approached it. I really liked how it was more analytics based. Like they did all those things. They looked at the numbers and then they dove into the class. They would dive into the passives. They'd dive into the individual skills. They'd go, okay, well, what are these people using? What skills are they using? Like, And then they would make adjustments. They'd be like, okay, yeah, Blunderbuss is hitting a little bit too hard. We're going to nerf the damage on this by like 10% or something. We're going to just slowly tone it back. And their adjustments were just night and day different. They were so good. There's a lot you can say negatively about what New World has done. Their balance was very, very good, in my opinion. And that all starts with the team. That all starts with the team and how they identify and fix things. And if your priority isn't on trying to have good combat with classes with strengths and weaknesses, what you'll have happen is you'll have patches where literally one or two classes just dominate. And that becomes an issue in an MMO where, you know, maybe you guys want to play, maybe you want to play a ranger, right? Ranger's not good. And it's just bad. And so now you're forced to play something else, basically, if you want to have fun and if you want to be effective in the game. And I think that's a disappointing part about MMOs sometimes. ESO new BG system 4v4 and 8v8 will be a spawn camping mess. I've already seen it happen on multiple PTS streams from various streamers. Sad. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. I'm sorry. I think it is fantastic that they have finally introduced new PvP stuff. I really do. I don't think 8v8 was a good choice. I don't think that option is a good choice. I think when you look at what a lot of the issues in PvP are, in general, is you have a lack of population sometimes, right? Lack of population due to performance, lack of population due to people going to a bunch of different areas. You have Cyrodiil, you have Imperial City, you have Battlegrounds, you have dueling, you know, in different parts of the world. You have all these different places that players can go to, and it's really tough to PvP when there's nobody else to PvP with. And the issue with 8v8s, in my opinion, is it's such a niche portion of the population, right? Like if you have an Imperial City, you can go in there with one person, you can go in there with 4, you can go in there with 8, you can go in there with 20. It doesn't matter. Like you're not spec'd to go in with a very specific amount of people. You can go in with however many people you want, right? Whereas in an 8v8, if you go in there solo and you get queued up with 7 other solos and you run across like an 8-man pre-made, you're not going to have a good time. Like it's just not going to go well for you at all. And I think you're going to have a situation where there's just not many 8-person groups, and it's going to be very hard to find a queue for 8v8s. And because you have some people queuing into 8v8s, it's going to take away from some of the population that's queuing into normal battlegrounds, the 4v4s or the 4v4v4s. And so you're spreading the population even thinner, right? Like, and I think that's going to be their issue. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really hope I'm wrong. I really hope that these things are a big success and people go back to play PvP there, because ESO PvP when it works is fantastic. It's so much fun. What I wish they would have talked to the community, to some players, before they talked about 8v8s, because I just see it going poorly. I have people in my Discord that do high scale MMRs. They do the 4v4v4s, and sometimes they're waiting 45 minutes to try and get another 8 people to fight against in a battleground. So they're already waiting almost an hour for a battleground to start. What's an 8v8 going to look like? You know, like it's going to be very similar. It's going to be very similar in my opinion, and it's disappointing. So it'll exist functionally, and the disappointing part is the most disappointing part in my opinion is they're going to do this. I think it's the wrong way to approach from a PvP perspective, and people aren't going to play it very much because it's just a wonky group setup to queue in, and they're going to look at the results and they're going to say, hey, we incorporated a PvP thing. We didn't get a population for it. We didn't get a population for this. We're not going to do PvP again. It's not profitable for us to do so. And so they're basically like, through their design choice, they're going to reinforce the fact that they shouldn't be building for PvP. And it's really, really disappointing. Like, and I'm going down a deep rabbit hole here. Like, it hasn't even come out yet, but that's just how I see this going. Like, they're going to evaluate and they're like, yeah, people don't even hop into this anymore because PvP is not popular in MMOs. PvP is not popular. It's like, it is, especially at ESO. You just, you chose the wrong format, in my opinion. Poorly thought out and executed. Yeah. Yeah. Like, if you expanded on Imperial City, or you did something like that where a bunch of different groups can go in there and you could hop in there with your friends. Like, Imperial City has so much replayability that they're still fixing things now. It like the PVX style zone is the way to do like PvP in ESO, in my opinion. Even Cyrodiil's PVX, technically. Like, the bosses and stuff aren't hard to kill, but it's technically PVX. And look at the replayability Cyrodiil has. Look at the replayability IC has. Battlegrounds is more finite. And I think you could have. I think it could have been better. I think it could have been better. They were told on stream it wasn't what was wanted. Yeah, that's the worst part. It's the worst part because it's like, you know exactly how it's going to turn out. You know, I really hope I'm wrong. I would love to sit here for like 5 months from now and be like, guys, 8v8s are super competitive on ESO. There's so many people playing them. It's really well done. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot and I was wrong. I would love to sit here and say that in 5 months. I don't think that's going to happen. It's not trying to bash ESO. It's just really unfortunate because they are doing a good thing. Finally making some years is good. It really shouldn't go overlooked. I just wish the choice was a little better. I really do. Everyone said, why didn't you ask us? We just wanted the lag fixed. Yeah, that's all I want. I want the lag fixed. If performance worked, I'd come back. I would absolutely come back. And I think Cyrodiil's a lost cause in that department. So it'd have to be something smaller. Like, it would have to be a smaller version. Imperial City works really well. Imperial City normally works very well. So. But yeah. What else to discuss? Oh God, I'm getting tagged. Yep. Yep. Knew that was happening. Yeah. And continually do choose the wrong execution. When Brian said in an 8v8, you could just hang out in the back lines if you want. And I'm like, it's an 8v8. No one is chilling on the back lines. Yeah. Dude, 8v8 is hardcore, like, sweating, right? Like an 8v8 is a very specific type of group. And that's the worst part. Is like, you look at what an 8v8 is and in how many people are running 8v8s in Cyrodiil, right? Like, think about it that way. You probably, I don't know what the arbitrary number is during prime time anymore, but think about how many people are running 8-man groups in Cyrodiil. It's what, maybe you're going to maybe see like tops 10 groups in Battlegrounds. Like, if all those groups go from Cyrodiil to Battlegrounds, if all of them do, and then the rest is just people randomly queuing in, getting slaughtered. Yeah. I think it's a poor choice. Spend more time in IC now, but they've crippled more stuff in there. So I'm depending on you to toss this combat system, to assess this combat system for me. And if it's close enough to ESO, I can join. I'm very curious. I'm very curious about it. Like I said, I like what I heard. We are very early in the combat process. And so there's a lot of things that we just don't know yet. We don't know how good the combat's going to be. It's really tough to gauge what end game combat's going to be when you're in an alpha. They were told exactly that same thing on stream. Yeah, it's not friendly to large groups of people. Like, it's not friendly to the vast majority of players. It's good for people that want to sweat 8v8s, but yeah. All right, Grim, you have a good night. I don't know. I think you're narrowing the population too much on that choice. I think that's the biggest issue. But yeah, I think that's it. Hour and 45 minutes. Not bad. Not bad. I'm gonna quick look and see if there's anybody else streaming Ashes stuff. I hope you guys had a wonderful day. It was really fun doing the Q&A with Steven. It was a lot of fun getting those answers. I hope you guys enjoyed them too, and I'll be diving into more detail on them in the next week or so. So yeah, if you guys want to check that out, it's on Nice's channel. I'm going to end this here. I don't think there's anybody doing Ashes stuff that I know. Also interested in the crafting setups when you cover that? Oh yeah, I will absolutely be covering that too. I plan on trying to cover everything in this game. And that's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, I'm going to end this video here. I'm not seeing anybody to raid that I know, so I will leave it as is. I'll catch you guys later.